Ready? All right, great. Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Eubanks. Welcome to the July 6th, 2026 meeting of the City of Charleston Design Review Board. The members of the board that are here tonight are Lucas Boyd, Stephanie Tillerson, Jeff Johnston, and then staff, we have David Meeks, DRB Administrator, Brad Thomas, DRB staff, and Patrick Carlston, City Clerk. No board members are recused from any of the agenda items today. No agenda items have been deferred by the applicant. We had 31 public comments submitted in total, one for Riva Ridge, one for the Wedge, one for the storage building on Ashapoo, 2 for McDonald's, and 26 comments for the Grand Oaks project. I will say that a lot of those comments dealt with items that are not under the purview of DRB, but we still take the applicable comments into consideration. The order of the meeting will be as follows. First is introduction of the project and context overview by staff, a project presentation by the applicant. We have a 10-minute limit. If you need additional time, let us know and we'll try to accommodate that. All presenters need to clearly state your name for the record. Persons affiliated with the project, designers, owners, developers, consultants, etc., should speak at that time. After that, there'll be board questions to the applicant, and then public comment. We have a 10-minute time limit for that. The applicant does not get to respond to those comments. And if you're making public comment, also please state your name for the record. Then we'll have city staff recommendations, and then time for the applicant to respond or clarify to public comments or city staff comments. 5-minute limit for that. Then there's board discussion. The applicant may clarify inaccurate information when recognized by the chair, but otherwise may only speak if asked a question by the board. After that, there'll be a board motion and a second, further discussion, and a vote. Ask everybody to please turn off all mobile phones and other devices that might make a noise during the meeting. And then for public comments, just want to make sure everybody understands that comments from the public are to be limited to site design and architecture of the buildings only. The DRB does not have authority over zoning issues such as land use, building density, flooding, or traffic. That will go to agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Bill. The first agenda item is 1798 Ashley River Road. And the applicants are appealing staff decision to not allow gradient colors on their signage. I have just a few context slides to show where the project is before we ask the applicant to come up. The red thumbtack is the location of this business. Closer view at the intersection of Ashley River Road and San Richard. This is an older picture of the building pre-renovation. The building didn't go through the staff review and approval on the renovation, which this is the current look. Just some views into the building. With that, I'll ask the applicant to step up. If you could let me know when they make the slides.
Are you going to need more than 10 minutes?
It's going to be quick. I won't take up too much of your time. My name is Lee Hunter. I'm with Stratus. We're the company working with Prisma.
And Eric Plasek, I'm with Prisma.
Just wanted to say that, so the Prisma Health Urgent Care logo that we're seeing here, it's a business that's going to be moving a lot into the low country. We have a lot of sites coming in, and that logo really is their brand standard, their recognizability. They're tied in with the Prisma Hospital, Prisma Medical Centers all across South Carolina. And we're just here to advocate for that signage to stay the way that it's branded. I did do kind of some Google drive-bys about the gradient. And there are a few other businesses that I noticed that have more gradient. One even had kind of a pink gradient that I think that we kind of went back and forth on emails about. It's really is their brand standard, and we'd like to try and stick with that for recognizability for healthcare.
Yeah, just to parrot what he said, we've got many hundreds of locations throughout the state. This is the signage, the gradient signage that we use that identifies us as Prisma. Departure from that is not something we're looking for, but I understand that it's within your purview. Are you gonna move through the slides? Okay.
I could just flip through them if you want.
Yeah.
Shows the location of various signs.
Yeah.
I believe it's only only the two facade signs that, and the monument sign.
Yeah.
That's in question.
Yeah, there's the two facade signs which have the gradient.
So this is the gradient look, but they do show another option for it as well. This is maybe some- And then this is the other option they were showing. That DRB staff would approve.
Our hope is to, if I can say, just to leave with an approval of one of the two, if at all possible, but it's, we're advocating for the gradient.
So the DRB approved one of the all white, and then we go from Papio 3 option A. That's what we'd like to have on the ground sign. And then in my emails, that's what you approved. By DRB, we did not get the gradient. And same with the underground sign. That's the existing.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant?
You said you have hundreds of low country, local South Carolina
Yeah.
locations. Is the gradient ubiquitous or has there ever been a departure from it?
As far as I'm aware, there's been like one departure.
Yeah, so we asked corporate, we're part of the JV venture, which is the urgent cares. We've asked corporate, have they ever had a departure? And they said, everybody scratched their head for a while and they came up with one.
Yeah.
But I don't know where that was. It was in general conversations that the true look that we're looking for and the brand identity is the gradient.
Will this be your first location in the Tri-County area?
No, Mount Pleasant.
No.
Mount Pleasant's part of the Tri-County, right? Yeah, so Mount Pleasant's already opened. This would be our second opening for the urgent cares.
And they have the gradient?
We do.
Yes.
When was that approved?
The Mount Pleasant?
Yes, has that been like 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
No, it was just recently installed, so probably it was less than a year ago.
Yeah, we just opened a few weeks ago.
And we have upcoming jobs. We have upcoming openings in Sumter. I'm Sumter's not quite.
Yeah, that's not in our
Yeah.
area.
We have Goose Creek, we've got Monk's Corner, we've got North Charleston, which we haven't submitted yet, but yeah, there's several.
We're looking at Charleston.
I have a couple of questions, just trying to understand the package. This image that's up now, what is that? It looks like a totally different building.
Just the side. That's the side. And
Oh.
then this is the front.
Okay, and that gray brick.
I
that
think the
turns-
lighting is dramatically different.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
then, thank you. Then another question, if you go back to the front elevation in our picture. If I look at that top right image, it looks like there's a kind of a black border that goes around the top, and then there's a little gray band that goes horizontal right underneath the black.
It's an infill.
How does that get infilled, and would that, is that by the signage company, is it already been done? Is that who?
I think I can say something about that. When staff was reviewing the renovation project, they had wood slats and fill that whole area.
Okay,
And we were questioning why that hadn't been done yet. And I'm not sure if you all
okay,
know if that's still to be done or.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's part of the project. The work's in progress right now, and it does match the rest of the material.
okay,
It's on
Yeah.
the facade.
Thank you. That's helpful. Yeah, just didn't understand if it's part, a part of the sign or a part of construction, so that's helpful.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I'm just curious, I don't know, are your channel letters, they're
Individual?
lit?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
And we're also looking at the facade on the building, and also are we looking at the monument sign as well?
Yes.
And could you show me the monument sign again, please?
This is what they would like to do, and this is what staff was asking.
They would like to do what,
The-
to
Yeah.
the night,
The gradient color
yes, yeah.
is really what was.
Yeah, it's only in Prisma, only in the word Prisma.
All right, there are no other questions for the applicant. We can go to staff.
You can have a seat.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Some staff observations and comments first. The following ordinances and policy statements were provided. I'll limit it. I'm not gonna read over all those. I'm sorry. So on April 1st, 2022. Staff denied a sign permit based on several elements that did not adhere to zoning ordinance or DRB signage policy. Most of these issues have been addressed and corrected, with the exception of the yellow to pink gradient on the Prisma lettering and the size of the facade sign on the south elevation. However, the appeal is only for the gradient portion. Given that the proposed signage package already utilizes a vibrant pink hue, staff determined the cumulative effect of the color gradient across the two facade signs and one monument sign would further intensify the sign's visual impact, making it more visually dominant and detract from the surrounding properties. Staff comment number one, staff does supports the additional color option that the applicant has provided in there. So where the yellow to pink gradient is replaced with either white or pink lettering. Staff believe this option maintains the applicant's branding while resulting in a similar, less visual intrusive sign package that is more compatible with the surrounding content.
Right, and I'm sorry, I forgot to ask for public comment. Is there anyone here to speak on this agenda item? Okay, then I didn't mess up too badly. Any response to staff comments from the applicant?
No, sir.
Okay. Board discussion.
I could ask staff, because I don't really, in terms of the ordinance, what I'm reading the ordinance, I don't think the gradient or the solid pink really is more or less vibrant. It doesn't make sense to me. So it seems like the ordinance there, you kind of have to make an interpretation of it to get to a place where that's not acceptable. Particularly number section 54.272 signs, the shape, configuration, location, design, color, texture, lighting, yada yada yada. And materials of all exterior signs and outdoor advertising structures features should not detract from the design of the building. What specifically about the gradient versus the non-gradient do you think kind of triggers that or steps over the line?
I think I'm gonna let Brad answer that.
Just kind of going back to the staff comment of the amount of signage, the two facade signs, and it's actually two monument signs. We just felt with the pink already being a pretty vibrant hue, that the gradient just kind of added to that.
So you think it's already kind of on the edge of the ordinance?
In terms of what we usually see, I mean, we typically see like blues, greens, and white. Just comparative to other signs that we typically see, the pink color, it's not a bad color, it's just brighter than what we usually see already.
Can we flip over to something that shows the gradient logo?
And I think I know the answer to this, just by driving around, but there's a lot of national and well-established brands with well-established graphic packages that have locations in the DRB preview. What in the past have you seen really established brands that there's some objection you have inherent in the brand's graphics package? What have you seen being done?
Just like another example where this has happened.
Are they changing it? Are they switching a color scheme?
They're usually simplifying the color scheme.
So I was a little torn on this one. On one hand, it's kind of like, well, who are we to tell them that they can't use what is their brand? But also looking at, so also I gotta say, just from a graphic design standpoint, I think this is an unfortunate mark. It's making your brain do a lot of work. The fact that the letters are spaced so far apart from one another and you're missing 3 verticals in the letters, it's making subconsciously at least, it's making your brain do more work to read what it says.
The Prisma in particular.
The Prisma part.
That's a logo that everybody in
Yeah.
South Carolina knows. You don't have to read out PRIS.
Yeah, but I think the gradient exacerbates that. And I think also this location, this is a really busy, frenetic intersection where things need to be crystal clear because you don't want to spend any extra time making a decision about what you're supposed to go, where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. So I'm torn on this one.
One of the things you mentioned, I think, in part of the response to asking them to edit and simplify is just the sheer amount of signage, which I agree. This building has a lot of signage for a building typical of its size, correct? 2 facade signs, 2 monument signs. That's a total of 4 signs, which really we'd see 2 on a normal project. So
In this case, they permitted to have that because both facades face the main street
because a corner.
and or have a public entrance. Same thing on the signs, that they're allowed to have one.
But you can take that into consideration with the purview that's assigned to us in the zoning ordinance, so.
Right.
Also an urgent care. You want it to.
Yeah.
No, well, one of the things I think is, I think I've seen a lot of these in the upstate and I've seen, I think this color scheme there. One of the things that I think about in terms of, yes, it's urgent care and you wanted to pop when someone drives by. I'm not too fond of it, but given the location, if it was embedded more in a community area or something, I may have a little bit more of a problem and maybe want it to be the staff recommended, but being right on the corner of a busy intersection, it really doesn't bother me. And I know one of the comments I think was in terms of maybe blending that area. I don't see anything about blending with regards to the aesthetics of that intersection. There's really no rhythm for me for that section. That particular corner, I don't have a problem with having their brand. Again, if it was in a different part of the community that maybe was a little bit more walkable or different feel, then yeah, I probably would say yes, their color scheme needs to blend in better with the surrounding area. I don't have a problem with this corner.
And I think given the context and all what you said, we need a really, really good reason to say you can't do your established graphics pack, very established graphic pack. And whether it's the first thing we would do or not, that's not the point. It's whether we have a really good reason to not. So I'm inclined to, approve the appeals.
Yes. Or how do we make a motion? I guess we're going against staff's recommendation. Yeah, it's the appeal is only the gradient portion, so
A motion to grant the appeal.
I think that's the correct.
motion to
Is
grant
that
it.
your motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion before we vote? Jeff?
Oh, in favor of supporting the.
Okay, and I'll vote in favor.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, agenda item number 2, 3041 River Ridge Drive.
We've seen this recently, but I have a few context slides. Showing the location. You see here, closer view, this is in the Live Oak Square development. It's gonna be in these two parcels. And, closer view. And this is looking straight ahead. 2 of the buildings will be on your right, and 1 of the buildings on your left. And they'll be right across the street from these existing buildings. And with that, the applicant can step up. Let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides, please.
Do you need more than 10?
I don't think so. I'm Joanne Riddle with Blaze Black Star Architects. Let me just advance through the rendering. Well, let me stop on some of the context there. That is an existing property that the same owner owns that's opposite of the street. And on the other side is a retail center that they also own and manage. So our site is kind of bridging the two. Go ahead and advance. These are the plans. There's three, so there's 3 buildings that are on the site, and the apartments are kind of, lined up along that route. There's a common area of a fitness center. We've kind of designed this to where the buildings are flanking that main road entrance into the retail center, so that you see these towers that flank the drive. There's another picture of that earlier, but we've set these towers up. Previous comments from staff were to simplify the buildings, which we dropped a lot of the color changes and went to a more neutral palette. We also made a brick base at the bottom and simplified. We had some roof changes that were going up and down. We've simplified that so that they're a consistent bearing point now. And we have eliminated some of the board and batten siding that we had changing along the facade. So it's much more simplified now. The porches that you see will be screened in. It's hard to see in the renderings, but this will be screened. And yeah, let me just keep going. That's the main entrance into the development. The retail is on either side of you there, and then the existing development is tucked behind. Some of the colonnade features we've had coming, mimicking some of the character that's in the retail center, but we like the towers to kind of like that entrance and make that transition point. These slides show the original submittal on the upper left and the new submission down on the lower right. You can see that a lot of the roof gables and dormers are removed. The breaks in the roofs are simplified. The color is simplified. The brick is more consistent throughout. Less of the other porches come all the way down to the ground. And then there was a Spencer, I forgot to introduce you. Spencer Plowden with Seaman Whiteside is our civil engineer.
Yep, Spencer Plowden, and then, yeah, I guess this paints the picture that she was speaking to. So this is the overall site plan. It's an extension of the existing retail, which we have an aerial we can get to in a second. Building A is on the far left and B and C are on the right. We're basically tying into that parking lot. So it's a shared community. And this was honestly one of the first PUDs that was done in Johns Island. So, and this is the last phase of the multifamily, which is significantly under the PUD requirement. if you want to keep flipping, we can hit the overall landscape plan. So there's the overall landscaping plan. We got a lot of street trees, or I guess they're not street trees, they're inside the site. We've adjusted the ADA parking. There was a comment on that. And if you flip to the conceptual site plan, it'll give you kind of an aerial of the full property in the front. If you keep going. Should be the last. Yeah, there you go. So that kind of just shows we're playing off the front. And yeah, it's a shared community. Let us know if you have any questions.
All right, great. Thank you. Any board questions for the applicant?
Want me to get back to any of the renderings or anything?
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Maybe the one that, the entry one where there's two buildings on the left and right. Good, thanks.
Okay. Anyone from the public here to speak on this agenda item? All right, if not, we'll go to staff recommendations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a made more improvements in the simplification of materials, making the brick consistent level and simplifying roof lines and massing. So we recommend conceptual approval.
Any response?
That's pretty simple.
Had to ask.
Yeah.
Board discussion.
Well, this is the second or
Third time.
So you can see the kind of dramatic transformation of the project, and guess we've heard my thoughts on it a number of times, but being very curious to get Jeff and Stephanie's thoughts. But yeah, I think a huge
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah, it was from our last meeting.
The first time I've seen it. So I know you guys have made some good progress on it, and I would, as I'm seeing it for the first time, I just there's a couple things I would think I would study to when I evolve or mature the design. I'm not necessarily thinking it's worth deferral or anything like that, but I think it's certainly something to consider. I think one of the strengths of all the existing buildings that are out there are just the simplicity and the uniformity of massing. And particularly when it comes to the roof. All the retail buildings, very simple, kind of agrarian inspired. And I know this is not one of the retail buildings, it's residential, but the residential buildings are also more simple. So I would encourage, and I know you guys have done that. And I can see that, you can see the how that's evolved. I wonder if there's another layer or two that can happen in the roof form. Like I see a lot of different roof styles. I see hips and I see gables and I see sheds. And I wonder, could that benefit from a uniformity of expression? So I see a couple different personalities on this building with the tower and the Victorian-ish brackets. And then the more simple shed roofs and the, I don't know what you call it, gable roofs, but it just seems like there's a lot of personalities going on with the building. And I think it would help to identify a roof form and stick with it, whether it's hip, gable, or shed. And then I think the towers are really interesting. It's a good gateway object. But I do wonder, it seems a little top heavy on the very top.
Big forehead.
Yeah, big forehead, right. And it just looks like it's begging for something up there, like, and what is it? So to me, those towers look a little out of balance because I think they're very top heavy.
I thought the same thing, and I think, by the way, this is not necessarily conceptual review, but we have a lot of information here that we can react to. I think the tower could be a place that, now that there's a really strong datum with datum at the first level. The tower, to make it extra special, could be the one place where that gets broken. Because it does, I don't know if there's a different kind of soldier course or something around the tower, but it looks like there's some sort of interruption in what otherwise feels like a very natural base to the building, a very natural brick base. So I was thinking of the top, the big forehead on the tower, the base on the tower. I agree, the roof, like the rest of the project has had a really heavy-handed simplification process. I think, I agree, the roof could use one more pass. But yeah, I think massive progress.
Yeah, I think when I look at, and this is kind of blending more traditional towards anything else. When I think about traditional construction, I think that the base is heavy, right? And as it goes up to the top, things get smaller, right? And I see the opposite, like this is the tallest and it gets smaller and even smaller. So you really should reverse in terms of opening and priority and hierarchy. I just thinking about applying like traditional proportioning to the building will help strengthen it.
To the tower in particular.
To the tower in particular,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
I would
that,
agree.
I think that can be one comment.
Yes,
right?
one help the tower. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, help the tower.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be comfortable seeing those changes at preliminary.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, that's a
Yeah.
preliminary level thing.
Yeah.
Massing,
yes.
Right.
That should be just a process of the project maturing, right?
All right, does
So-
anyone want to make a motion?
I'll try to make a motion. You guys can help me out. I make a motion for conceptual approval of the following staff comment number one, I guess is. First comment would be to provide more consistency in the roof plane. That is specific to gable hip shed. And also to work on the architecture and proportioning of the tower elements. That's it, just period. Two comments.
All right, so conceptual approval, provide consistency in roof design and work on proportioning of the tower element. That it? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Stephanie,
Yes, in favor.
and I vote in favor. All right, agenda item number 3, 3930 West Ashley Circle.
Moment, I've got some content on first. All right, showing the location of the project. This is, sorry, 3930 West Ashley Circle. This is for a shell retail building. They're in for preliminary review. That shows the location again. And the back to the right. In this picture. And, this is Ford Drive, the site is straight ahead across West Ashley Circle. You are the power lines that do run through the site. With that, I'll turn it over to the applicant. Step right up. We know we don't. Against the slide.
We can get some time, just in case. You need a little extra? I'd like to talk your out, Bill.
Okay.
How much?
How much more do you need?
Just a couple. 5 minutes?
Okay.
Okay, so this is the wedge and the shaded portions and portions that are being developed of this phase. This is more or less what we've shown at the conceptual submittal and got approved. The shell building is here with 2 quick serve restaurants, and Middleton is to be determined. That'll be retail of some sort. Parking, utilities, storm, in the Church Creek Basin, so the storm is pretty extensive. and West Ashley Circle, it's right here, abutting it to get that urban feel, with the PUD. We've pumped the building up as far as we could, to address the sidewalk and the right of way here. We have the screening wall here for the drive-through, which has been bumped over 3 feet to allow the cars, some extra space per, previous DRB comment. And a little bump out here for the drive-through equipment as well, just to be safe there. We made sure that the landscape and the site plans match for everything. I guess the couple of items that are not shown are bike racks and benches, because those are still to be determined with the site layout. But the biggest difference, I guess, from what conceptual approval to now is because of the grading and West Ashley Circle being so low and our pond being at the back of the site, to tie into the SCDOT ditch, we basically had to grade up a little bit. So this sits about 3 or 4 feet above the roadway. So we have pedestrian ramps to each of the doors, some stairs along the back here, so that the public can access the businesses from the West Ashley Circle side and from the parking lot side.
Thanks. So I'm Lee Rodriguez with the Architects. And maybe if we can just start rolling through the context, I think you already showed a little bit of it, but we have some more. And grading and landscape plans as we go. Here's sorry, go back one, David. There you go. So here's the updated landscape plan. Preston can speak more of this, but we do have the nice little, called the pollinator garden walk here and the monument signs over here, but that's not in this middle, and then drive through with the screen wall moved and the electrical screened by that, I think it's out 4-foot knee wall. Before it was like 2.9. Staff recommended that we bumped it up and we agreed with them. David, we can keep going. Landscape render, just for reference, if we need to come back to that. As I mentioned, the site context, West Ashley Circle, we're sort of one of the first developments on this side of the circle. Chick-fil-A's at the corner also raised up, so we're sort of similar to them in that way, and we're very close to being across from the Walmart that you'll see soon. Keep going. There's the Walmart beyond, and there's the Chick-fil-A that's also higher than the street. And there's the Walmart. All right, so this is the updated design, the overall site plan, the overall aerial. On the previous submittal, you can see right away that it'll be more clear, but the building is raised and that roof has turned to match the other gable and simplify the overall architecture of it. But in general, the design is very similar, just a little simplified. Keep going, Dave. I want to get to the comparison so you can see before and after, previous and proposed. Here we go. So one of the previous board comment was to simplify this corner up here, which I think we've done. We've just copied over this gable. It's a little bit wider because of the proportion of this tenant. But I think that cleans up the elevation nicely. And David, if you can go back one, so that, or here we go, perfect, sorry. This also illustrates it. But you can see previous and proposed again. I think it's a nice symmetry to it. But again, it's not exactly symmetrical. Here you can see we've simplified from the previous sort of wood battens up above to just a dark siding to match the siding above. We've removed the brick soldier courts here. We've raised the glass in the center tenant. Since they don't have side glass, we wanted to give them a little bit more height. And again, simplified the corners here and here. And you can see here the elevation raised of the building with the ramp and the stairs and the other ramp that wraps around to this panda or future panda courtyard plaza they have. Maybe you can keep going. Previous and proposed in elevation and 3D here. You can keep going. And here's the back. Again, this has gone from a parapet here to just that same gable carried all the way through. We do have cutouts in the roof for the HVAC equipment, But that will be, that design for that equipment is future. We're just sort of showing it schematically and trying to provide a space for it. You can keep going, David. And then here's the floor plan. There's not much to it since we're just a shell, but for reference, here it is. We have this lower porch here on one side with the ramp coming around, and there's a landscape knee wall blocking off the drive-through. And then here's this patio on this side or porch on this side from the entry drive, both within the build-to areas. And I think that's all I have to talk about. The sconces, we also added as just a feature, and we did keep the brackets. We did study the brackets we did study the building with and without the brackets, but we decided to keep them just as a nice touch to dress up the roof line a little bit and to go with the rafters for these porch pergolas.
Great.
Yep, that's it.
Board have any questions for the applicant?
The parapet height in the gap, what would you reckon that parapet height is to conceal mechanical equipment on both
Oh.
title?
We can keep going to a section. I don't remember offhand. I think it might be 3 feet or so.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like.
I just want to know what the parapet height was. Just better
And
understand.
once we determine the final equipment, that's the issue. We don't know the exact height of the equipment yet, but if it goes too far beyond that parapet, we'll just add a screen as we've done before with David.
Are you confident you need the wells? Because you have quite a bit of flat roof up there.
I think so. I mean, it's mostly, it's not that we couldn't fit it on the center tenant, right? But the tenants, the owner has requested that the tenants have individual access without going through the other person's space. They don't want to leak in one guy's unit over the other guy.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the street side access and the ramp, and why are there ramps and sidewalks on the street side?
Okay, David, if we could go back to
I
the
know about the grading.
floor plan.
I'm talking about more functionally. Is it a programmatic requirement to have ramps and
Well, we wanted to, well,
sidewalks?
sorry, here we go. So we wanted to provide access from the street since this is supposed to be a more urban environment. And we wanted people to feel like they could walk into the building, especially since there's parking right here along West Ackley Circle. There is parallel parking here.
Mhm.
And we wanted people to have easy access to this porch and this porch too from the ramp. So the ramps are provided for access. There's a service door here in case, and there's another door here for this tenant. So all the tenants have access from the street. We just wanted to provide that invitation from the street. And we pulled the ramps close to the building so we can landscape between the building and the ramp. And we like having the building up on a pedestal a little bit. We feel like it adds to that urban feel, and we like the separation it provides from the street as well.
I'd also like to point out that to be ADA compliant and provide access for, disabled people, we need to provide ramps. So it can't just be stair access.
Sure.
Right, well, and we didn't want them,
Sure.
if someone in a wheelchair happened to park here, as unlikely as that might be, walk all the way around and come in over here, so just for their sake as well.
Is ADA parking on the street or is it just in the rear?
I think it's just right here. Right above.
In the rear.
Handicap ramps.
The parking in the street is existing.
It's exhibit, that's right.
How does this sidewalk solution compare to adjacent properties and whatever else is going around West Ashton Circle?
Well, on our side, we don't have much to go off of yet that I've seen. I'm not sure actually what the bank is doing. But I know Chick-fil-A has a similar solution to ours where they have steps going down to the sidewalk behind a knee wall. I don't think they do have a ramp actually, but it's a little different.
Picture of that.
Yeah, there's a picture of it. We can go back to it if we want to.
The bank hasn't figured out what they're doing yet.
Mhm.
Any other questions for the applicant? So you want to hear from the public to speak on this agenda item? Not? Anything?
I did have one more question.
Oh, sure.
Sorry. Ben's not here, but he's with us in spirit, and I know he would ask about the proximity between the eave and the parapet.
Oh, yes.
So
And,
in his spirit.
My question
Oh,
is,
no.
is
Oh.
there some hard cap on that truss heel height that's saying this needs to be higher? Or is it more of an architectural? It doesn't look,
We've tried to, we can go to a section. We've tried to provide a clearance between that gable and the parapet. There we go. So, I
pretty
mean,
close.
it's close, but if you look at the bottom section, I think there's about a foot. We just didn't want the gables to get taller. Be too towery.
Right. Just a few staff observations. Staff met with the applicant. We went over their revisions. We supported the revisions they made. Landscape plan looks good. Photometric plan isn't compliant. The previous staff and board comments look to have been addressed and staff supports.
Any response to that?
Thumbs up.
All right, board discussions.
And to agree with Scott.
Yes. I would just.
It looks a lot better than before. The changes have been good.
I make a motion for preliminary approval. With.
Second.
Second,
Yes,
Stephanie,
yes.
and I vote yes. So preliminary approval, final by staff. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 4, 2110 Ashapoo Lane.
The red thumbtack is the location of the project in the Upper Peninsula. Closer view. Where the old tradesman brewery used to be. Looking into the site. Across the site is the expressway. Looking towards the expressway on Ashapoo. The site's off to the right. Looking into the site. And you can step right up. Let me know when you'd like me to advance the slide.
You can go and go to page 8 as a site plan. Hey, I'm Kaylee Roberts, Seaman Whiteside, civil engineer. I also have Deanna Dicklener as our LA who's gonna be here for questions, and Bossy Knight and LK Architects. We got the conceptual approval on this one, and not whole lot site plan has changed since then. A couple of the comments were more of a beefed up landscape, which we have done. And then as we continued through stormwater and grading, we needed a little bit extra storage. So we've added a cistern, on-site cistern that you'll see on the plan right side, over where the fire access road is. The fire access road that you see from the parking and the pavement area is gravel. I mean, it's grass. And once it gets back behind, over on this side, this is all gravel. This is an existing gravel road, just bringing up the code. This to see from the pedestrian view would all be grass fire coated. And then the cistern in the back. So the cistern's hidden pretty well, but it would match. It can be vinyl wrapped in whatever it needs to be. It'll match the architecture of the building. And then on all 3 sides, we've done, you can, I think page 25 is the landscape plan. We've just beefed up the landscaping on all the sides. The main one I think most needed was along Ashapoo, because the residents that are there. And we have added that, as you can see right there, along the, that's fine, yeah, that's
I
fine.
don't have the same page numbers as you
It's
anymore.
at 25 in the very bottom corner is I think the right number. So yes, that's perfect, we can go right there a little bit. We just got TRC comments, so they're gonna ask us to kind of squish it in a little bit, so it's not as wide, but same amount of plantings will be there. And then I think I can turn it over to.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Guys, if it's okay, I may ask for 5 more minutes. I'll try to squeeze it in the first 5 minutes. So we're excited to be back here after a few months, and we've had time to work with a contractor on pricing. We have time to work with a structural engineer on making the building real and constructible. And then we've had several staff meetings with David and BD, which has been very helpful from a design standpoint. So thank you for those. David, if we could go ahead and go to the next page. Let's see, yeah, we can back up one slide. So just a reminder to everybody that our site is located on this primary transportation spine in the neck area of Charleston between the Ashley River and the Cooper River. And we feel like there's largely an abundance of industry here that's kind of shaped the site, where there's I-26 and some of the railroads. So just a quick snapshot, a reminder of kind of where we are in the bigger context. Next slide, please. And then really the context of our site between the trains, the cargo ships, and the railways. This really influenced the architectural design for the project. Just quickly as a reminder that we spoke on before, within a stone's throw of our site, we've got 9 different railroad tracks. One of them is a double decker, and we've got rails and transit and 100,000 people on I-26. So we sort of wanted to kind of lean into how could this context influence the building itself. Next slide, please. So our architectural theme is a vessel in motion. The building is envisioned as a storage vessel in motion. The horizontal massing echoes the trains and cargo ships that shape the neck area. You can see the triple railroad track in the foreground with a double decker train, and then our proposed building in the background along with 526 here. So it's kind of a chaotic site. We've got this big billboard here, and everything kind of tapers to a triangle, and the building itself and the architecture is supposed to sort of feel like this storage vessel in motion. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed preliminary exterior height scale mass. And so we really wanted to build on the previous approval and just working on refinements to the actual language. The height scale and mass has stayed the same. Next slide, please. So just a reminder on our materials palette. The building, it sits on a masonry base, which is split face block. And then we have these sort of striations. So the whole building is kind of meant to kind of feel like it's floating in a sense as it cantilevers off part of the base of the building. Our vessel-like form is defined by these standing seam roof panels that are also becoming wall panels. So everything's sort of sculpted and carved out of this material here, and this is all concealed fasteners. And then we have our accent panels, which sort of simulate these storage units. And this would be that copper finish, copper penny finish that you see here, which is a 1-inch boxed rib for the accent panels. Next slide, please. So the floor plans, not much has changed. From a square footage standpoint, you can see that the building itself is kind of tapered, kind of reacting to that triangulation of the site. We've got I-26 on the top of the page, and then King Street Extension on the bottom of the page with abandoned railroad track here as well. You might remember that our primary loading is on the back of the building facing I-26, and then we have a public common plaza area that addresses Ashipu. Next slide, please. So on the second floor here, it's very similar to the first floor footprint. We've actually expanded these hyphens a little bit, break up massing a little bit further. That'll be more evident once we get to the elevations. And then we've added this detail of this exposed glass that sort of wraps the corner at 3 different locations along the building. So we've actually pulled back some of the metal skin and started to reveal this sort of corner condition. One of them here faces Ashipu, the other one faces I-26. I think we can go 1 or 2 slides ahead, maybe to the 4th floor. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, maybe you're right, there's perfect. So just a reminder, on the 4th floor, the building steps in, and then the primary gable form that you see right here going from left to right is the 4-story. On the ends of the gables, we have a lot of glass up in the eave, so roughly 40 feet across from left to right. accent both ends of the gables, and all that natural light gets to flow into the actual interior hallway spaces. And then we have the mechanical, which is sitting down in a well concealed on the I-26 side. Next slide, please. We can go one more, please. Yep. So actually, if we can back up one slide, sorry, David. And then just sort of a summary. There wasn't a lot of comments in the last meeting, but I think in general, we got some feedback that it was a strong architectural direction. And really needed to work on architectural expression and just refining and simplifying the details around the building. Next slide. So the top is proposed and the bottom was the previous. We felt like after having time to step back and study the previous submittal a little bit, we felt like maybe it was a little heavy. And so the proposed one on the top is a little bit more elegant. We've sort of simplified some of the metal overhang that addresses the plaza below. We've also wanted to kind of lean into revealing more of these cargo units with that sort of copper penny color up here with that grid. We can go to the next slide, please. So you can see the previous below and the proposed above. We looked at pulling back the skin here. So this window now starts to express itself as it turns a corner. We've also sort of canted or tapered back the skin here, trying to give the building a little bit more of a dynamic quality on the top image. And then also the hyphens here have been broadened a little bit wider, so that we can then express a little bit more of these cargo units, which is sort of the internal program of the building. Next slide, please. So this would be sort of the rear of the building that fronts I-26. We wanted to simplify. Here we have the previous, we were kind of breaking the base, so we just simplified it into a continuous masonry striated CMU block base here. We had this sort of wing-like element that was cut in two, and it was a little funky. So we wanted to just again simplify that with just some very simple canopies in this area, and then revealing a little bit more of the accent copper penny cargo units. I do want to share, if you back up one slide, this is an error on our part. You can see the windows aren't showing up here. It's like we had a layer turned off. I have a handout of what this slide looks like, and also on the elevations, you can see a true depiction of it. So I don't want to confuse anybody with that. Next slide, please. Okay, and then finally, we have the facade that is more southeast facing. Again, leaning into these accent cargo unit boxes here. And so taking off just the regular standing seam wall panels here, allowing the inside use of the building to sort of express through the gable ends, kind of the vessel form here. And again, on the right-hand side, taking that same detail of pulling back and unveiling a little bit more about the storefront of the glass as the glass grabs the corner here. Next slide, please. And then view from the fire access lane with the cistern. Next slide. So real quick here, this is the final sequence of how you might experience the building from I-26. There would be some landscape and screening. Next slide. And then from 26, we actually get a little bit of a muted view of the building because you can't really see down to the first and second floor too well. But this is what we feel like is going to be visible along with our billboard sign. Next slide, please. Okay, same view from King Street Extension looking southwest. Lots of landscape there. So we have a same image in the back of the set with and without trees if you wanted to see that. But next slide. Okay, and then we can end on this slide here. This is just the previous plaza and the proposed plaza, roughly 1,500 square feet with some park benches and some pavers. And we've really enhanced some of the landscape since the last submittal as well. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Good presentation. Thank you.
Anyone from the public to speak on this one?
All right, thank you. So some staff observations. The building and landscape continues to develop nicely. Staff supports the plaza redesign. Staff also supports the added cistern on the north end of the building. Staff comment number one. The one staff comment from the previous meeting was to add to the dry pond planting to create a strong buffer for our garden environment. The landscape rendered site plan from the last meeting is what we were asking to add to be well. I don't have an image of that, but it was just kind of illustrative drawing that showed a lot more color and plantings going down the slopes of the pond. The current plan looks to be less plantings than the last schematic plan. The upper screening is good with the live oaks and the crepe myrtles, but at the low level, there are only 2 rows of ornamental grasses, and the rest is lawn grass. Staff recommends continuing down the slope with more plantings, possibly a couple more rows of ornamental grasses, and some water tolerant native shrubs of different varieties would be good. Perhaps a band or a band of natural no-mow mixed with wildflowers. This could be for the entire pond, with no-mow mix, or we would also support just another band of planting and keeping the center lawn grass. But we do recommend preliminary approval with the conditions noted.
Any response from the applicant? All right. Board discussion.
I've made a mistake, and I do have a question for the applicant.
Ask him.
Out of sequence, sorry. Out of sequence.
The cargo container facade. Was the original in wood slats and it's now switched to copper metal, copper penny metal? It was always the metal. Sorry.
Done. All right, board discussion.
I thought that this, not, again, seeing this for the first time, but seeing the maturity of the design has been fun to watch and clearly articulated. It's a really, really fun place to put your stuff.
I was thinking, well, I think, first of all, I think the simplification and motif, the angled breaks really reinforces the overall architectural idea, this piece of infrastructure in motion. So I think huge improvement, but kudos to the owner too. I'm sure you guys are, by all of this architectural sculpting, you're leaving a lot on the table in terms of storage units and count, even height, I remember at the beginning, so kudos. Yeah, I think big improvement. Unless you guys have any.
I mean, going back to like the very first time we saw it, I mean, the arrangement on the site is so much more sensitive now to those adjacent residences. I think the landscape plan has come along a lot. I do agree with staff. I'd like to see a little bit more, some more ornamental grasses. I would keep it really simple. But just, you know, beef it up a little bit more of it. I mean, I think it's fun.
All right, so I will make the motion preliminary approval with the staff condition and final review.
The second,
Second.
all right,
In favor?
and I vote in favor. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and item number 5, 3943 West Ashley Circle.
Look there. All right, 3943 West Ashley Circle, requesting preliminary approval for a new 1-story. Just a few context slides showing the location of it. Proposed McDonald's at West Ashley Circle. It's adjacent to the Walmart parking lot and adjacent to the new Chick-fil-A. Does have a power easement going through the site. Let's review. Into the site. This is looking back out towards Walmart. And the site's off to our left. With that, I'll turn it over to the Okay. Let me know what you'd like me to do.
Is 10 minutes sufficient?
I think 10 minutes will be plenty. I'm Oliver Kaya, project manager with Bowler Engineering, representing McDonald's as the applicant, in addition to Kuhachi Peterson as the architect, and Kimley Horn, who with David, I know you're working closely with that team. They're the permit expediter associated here, just to kind of situate y'all with the players. But following our conceptual approval at DRB, we had more back and forth with David on some of the comments, and even a second round addressing the good discussion that we had. I know I went back to my team, engineering, landscape design as well, encouraging and actually requiring all of them to watch that hearing and hear that discourse. I really appreciate the kind of emphasis on study. And then going back to the overall team, the architects, McDonald's as well, just continuing to reiterate to, a group and an organization that is kind of leads with operations focused, to focus more on that pedestrian experience and kind of studying the interaction with the site. So David, if we could jump to the kind of the zoomed in landscape view, I think that's maybe the best place to highlight some of the changes that came out of the discourse here at DRB and some of the further study and discussion with the team. But I think, like I said, the biggest focus here was just trying to take what may have been a somewhat immature design and focus more on that pedestrian experience. And I expect through this process, there's going to be more maturing of that design. But a couple of the things to highlight would be particularly starting at the building, that plaza area, really trying to limit the amount of the expanse of concrete there as we bring our building frontage, which I should have noted, we fall under the same PUD as item number 3 that has those build-to requirements. It's consistent with the Chick-fil-A. It's consistent with that multi-tenant building that we saw to the north, where we're going to end up with kind of a very more urban feeling like intersection there with those buildings all pulled forward. With that, I think like I said, our previous DRB submittal kind of might have had a design placeholder with a giant slab of concrete. We've since tried to kind of limit some of those pedestrian or more so channelize those pedestrian entrances into the site, add more landscaping. That knee wall element that we have up to the north here, rather than having that be backed with more concrete, we looked at that. So that's another opportunity to kind of soften that corner while still creating that as the pedestrian focused area to mirror what's happening on the Chick-fil-A site existing and what's going to be happening to the north there with those patio areas that we saw in item number 3. So we did see green space increase, kind of looking just at what we had. I don't have I wish I had a previous DRB comparison to show in this presentation, but I think we reduced in our staff comment response letter by almost 1,500 square feet of concrete up at the front there, softening that with landscape that's going to be kind of a lower, like pink muley grass and liriope, and then going to larger screening as we kind of move away towards the drive-through and down West Ashley Circle to the east there. We also were able to, reduce some of the pavement area on site by tightening up our truck area and by kind of pulling that drive-through closer. I know the truck port was an area that we were encouraged to look at. We looked at that with McDonald's from an operations standpoint. I know that there was, can we eliminate it altogether? Because of that, because of the geometry of the site with that central drive aisle, there's not really an opportunity for a WB 67 to service their site and shut down that central drive aisle. So we believe that loading area is required, but we were able to run some more truck turns and work with McDonald's to decrease the length and the width of that area, which then pulled the drive-through tighter in that reverse drive-through configuration, further reducing the built upon area of the site. I know that the massive impervious area asphalt was one of the comments on site. One thing that we have asked McDonald's to do and have put on the plans here is to provide like a stamped concrete to create at least a visual difference in that area, maybe like a 2x2, like kind of capital banding for that truck court. But from an operations standpoint, using something like a grasscrete would be challenging for, meeting like those H20 load requirements to then service the restaurant regularly. Additionally, we did take a closer look at this area. One of the things that resonated with me coming out of the meeting was, I think it was Jeff sharing that you know, the idea of like going to a restaurant saying like, oh, I actually want to eat here outside. And I think we've tried to open up that area by creating more connectivity to the parking lot, whereas you're circling, you can actually see, hey, this is an area that's open and inviting. We added a picnic bench, and just creating a little bit more of a sheltered feel for that landscaped area so that it is a more inviting place and there actually is connectivity to the parking lot there. Another staff comment that was incorporated was reducing the number of signs. If you've driven to a lot of these fast food restaurants these days, they're having lots of pickup signage, mobile order spaces. We worked with the McDonald's design project manager and said, hey, we're gonna need to use the decorative posts, and we also are gonna be asked to reduce those. So they sought a variance with their internal processes to reduce that from 10 spaces that were originally shown on that northern side of the parking lot down to just 4. And then we talked about parking, talked about that loading dock. I think just being upfront, the 2 biggest comments that I think we struggled to address, and I'm curious to hear what David has in the staff comments, is that parking reduction. Based on the PUD, we are tied to that Walmart ECR. We did kind of study the surrounding area, and I know that we're about 1,000 square feet less than Chick-fil-A, but looking at the approved Chick-fil-A plans, which we can pull up if we want to, they do have 71 spaces based on a 5,000 square foot building, and that's at 1 per 75 for their like patron area. So I think based on what's happening in the area around us and a Walmart parking center that's probably overparked as well to begin with, I think that the spaces that we're showing on site are consistent and would be, again, dictated by that Walmart ECR. And then landscape wise, there was kind of more study of that internal area and an effort to create less of a linear feel, more of an organic feel, and then above and beyond just code requirements, connecting the dots, screening that trash enclosure better than just those large holly bushes that would take some time to reach maturity. Just more focus on, what we're doing for a more organic feel for those larger areas that we have the landscape. So overall, I like the phrase that's been thrown around of like design maturity. I think we made our first TRC submittal this morning. So we know that we're going to have staff comments in that respect. David, if you could flip architecturally, I know I'm less equipped to speak to some of the design changes here. I don't know if that's a byproduct of us not having the architect here to speak to some of their choices, or if it is staff appreciating how far we did kind of come originally with David from the last couple of years. But the major change here is extending that canopy on the top elevation there that fronts West Ashley Circle, kind of create more continuity across there. But that's like I said, I appreciate all the discourse we've had. I look forward to what we're going to discuss tonight and continue to bring back to the team, and maybe get some more folks other than me just here so we can have this, continue to push this design along.
Any questions for the applicant?
I've got a quick one. What did you say the parking number for reuse by?
Our parking number is 46 spaces, 1 per 100.
Compared to last time. Did you
There was
reduce
no
the number?
reduction in the parking based on that Walmart ECR requirement at
That's right.
1 per 1,000 or 1 per 100 square feet.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question for you. In terms of, I don't know, maybe you already said this, and I'm sorry if you did. For this particular site, are you matching the grade as Chick-fil-A? And having the step down to the.
We are
center
not
line?
matching the Chick-fil-A grade, and that's based on a lower stormwater outfall point than we have. I can totally appreciate the other sites having to raise based on their on-site stormwater, but we have an inlet on site that's significantly lower that outfalls to the Walmart stormwater. So we're going to be matching grade at I think we were discussing it last time, where our finished floor is only about 6 to 9 inches taller than the sidewalk around us at West Ashley Circle. So there may be some hardscaper steps to navigate a few of those, but we do have our on-site ADA accessibility is going to have to obviously run to our back parking spaces, but there will be multiple customer entrances. One of the big changes that kind of happened throughout before we even got to DRB is flipping the entire layout to bring that dining room to face, and then obviously create the reverse drive-through to activate that corner.
I got a couple of quick ones. You go a second.
The second.
A small one, Jeff had last meeting recommended the extension of that sidewalk, page north here, so it's a straight shot, because you'll just get a what do you call it? When
Deer-
people just
deer
create
path?
the what?
A deer path?
Design path.
Yeah.
Was that just an oversight, or what, maybe there's a reason that technical reason can't be done? The tree or something?
Yeah, I think honestly, we should probably note. From an operations standpoint, McDonald's, if you know, and a lot of QSRs are sending people, hey, can you pull forward? And then they're running the food out like another service door. So with those pull forward spaces being these spaces here, if you're at the drive-through, your food's not ready, you're directed to pull here. There is a service door at the back. I didn't really talk about this. I think one of the best things we did was adding landscaping at that little front corner there to kind of discourage people from seeing this as an actual customer entrance. I think that pulling this across would probably, that actually makes a lot of sense from an ADA standpoint. You're still gonna have maybe like an employee or associate desire path as they're gonna be crossing that parking lot right there. So we might, I mean, I'd be curious what,
We'll just keep both.
Two.
yeah, I guess it would be 2 crosswalks having to cross at those 2 locations there.
The other question, the truck, the loading,
Mhm.
you said Grass Creek is challenging. Was that a euphemism for impossible, or is it actually just challenging? It is possible, just expensive.
Research that it's possible. For the size trucks you speak.
We can go back to McDonald's and do more studies.
Just a
kind of
question
what-
for now.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I'm sure there are H20 rated pavers that allow that,
Mhm.
that type of, one thing McDonald's does consider, and I think this is, it's relevant. It's another choice that we actually have made with McDonald's is to do the entire parking lot in concrete. It's something that they're seeing in their construction down in these areas that they can get better concrete than they can asphalt, and the price difference that they're being quoted is relatively similar. So McDonald's gives their, you know, the owner operator then takes on all maintenance of that site. So, you know, it is an item that McDonald's has to think critically about, because if that owner operator comes back and that grasscrete is hard to maintain, or difficult to maintain, you could end up with the person who's ultimately inheriting the site, owning and operating it, having, you know, rutted out or muddy or something that's, how do I put this? I try to design these sites so that an owner operator is going to be able to maintain them in a way that still functions to meet the intent of like what that element was designed for. That's my concern from, you know, it's not just purely a cost standpoint where McDonald's is balking at this is a more expensive than concrete. It's the long-term maintenance that would ultimately fall on the owner operator and then become sometimes a finger pointing decision of, well, why was it installed this way? I can't maintain it the same way that I do my other sites. So, you know, I think that is definitely a give and take to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit on how McDonald's and these stores will operate as we kind of move forward past design and construction.
So just to clarify, that truck area, you're looking at that being stamped asphalt or stamped concrete?
Stamped concrete.
Concrete. Is it still just gray?
It would still be, yeah, just a gray concrete. I mean, they do pigment sometimes their sidewalks in different areas. It's not something that they're, you know, that's foreign to them. If there was a desire to, from a visual standpoint, to just see something different there, so it doesn't contribute to at least the visual feel of a sea of concrete, asphalt, impervious area.
How does that make it better?
I think the reduction in size from what we had originally shown is one benefit. I think the feedback I heard from the board was, why is there so much asphalt? Why is there so much impervious area? I think creating different textures is an opportunity in some sense to at least, while it's still necessary from an operation standpoint, to create the feel that it's not this kind of, you know, standard commercial wasteland of the same type of impervious area.
Have you studied other locations for it on the drive? Like, could it, I'm just kind of spitballing here, so forgive me. Could it be like the extension of the driveway you have? Could it be kind of a long parallel spot, for like a better word? Or can it be more in this zone here?
Yeah, like a load,
And we're, with Dominion, I don't know what jurisdiction or ability Dominion would have to dictate how McDonald's does their loading operation, since that's less of a, there is a chance we haven't presented this revised loading space, or I haven't presented that option to Dominion, but it's something that I would want to submit to Dominion under our encroachment agreement. If they see a loading zone placed on there and in the, you know, working with a transmission easement of this size, like it's an option. I think it's something worth further exploration and study.
It seems to me that Dominion does allow flat work, but not, you know, I found out that they won't allow the walls that we were pushing
Yeah.
for.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
Any other questions for the applicant? Anyone from the public to speak on this? Not, we'll get staff recommendations.
So some staff observations, staff and board comments from the previous meeting that were not met. The center loading area was not removed or revoked. That's been over these since the presenter already talked about this. The screen wall on the West Ashley side of the parking lot was not continued around to the east side of the parking lot, but staff confirmed with Dominion that a screen wall would not be permitted in the energy easement. It does not appear that parking spots were reduced in number. Improvements made to the landscape plans are better. Increased landscape in front of the building towards West Ashley Circle is much better. And around the dumpster and drive-through areas is better. Pedestrian circulation has improved throughout, and getting to the front door is better. I agree with what you all were talking about, straightening out that crosswalk area. Picnic area layout is better. Reduced traffic signage is good. Layout to the west side of the building and along the Flood Drive was improved. Staff comments, staff questions, again, the center loading area, if it's essential, must remain. If so, staff cannot accept this to be, I said, asphalt, but even the stamped concrete. I think we prefer to see the grasscrete over stamped look. The look of this material is not good, and well, I'll skip the part about the heat because I was referring to asphalt. So anyway, we're recommending that the grasscrete or some other kind of decorative paver you could install over a concrete pad, and that would also withhold the weight of a WB7 delivery truck. Number two, Dominion will not permit a screen wall and the easement. The applicants have added 2 rows of door polys. Staff asked that this area within the property lines between the parking and the street gets another layer of landscape added with some varied heights and shrub variety. With that, we do recommend conceptual approval.
Any response from the applicant?
I'm sorry, I have to say preliminary approval, I apologize.
Conceptual again.
You're right, it was preliminary.
I'll just say, because I recognize the values that all the architectural partners have provided to the other preliminary ones as well. If there is any architectural feedback that the Kohatcha Peterson team needs to hear, I know that sometimes we get disproportionately focused on the civil, the site, the landscape, because it's more fun to talk about that, in my opinion. But I know that I would greatly appreciate if there are any other comments or feedback that we know we're going to need to incorporate as the design continues to mature.
Regarding the building.
Regarding the building.
And I didn't really include in my staff comments that we thought the building was great. They extended that canopy that we asked for. And really at the last meeting, most all the comments were on the site.
Can you go to the, or are we in board discussion?
We're in board discussion.
Can you go to the elevation? I think it's nice to have Jeff. Because he was here for the initial one too, but I'm a bit. I would agree, the building looks good, I would prefer you guys for the loading bay discussion. I agree, stem concrete doesn't really make a difference, to be honest, when it's next to a bunch of other concrete. I am less inclined to ask them to explore moving it, but that could be an option. But yeah, anything paver, on a slab, paver, grasscrete, whatever. But in terms of the building, I know we had a couple of comments. One had to do, one of your comments, which was really good, was about the back of house area, right?
Mhm.
I'd like to talk about that, but in terms of the canopy on the front, I think we were talking more explicitly about extending that literal canopy. So it was a more literal extension of that exact thing. Along front porch. Along front porch. So now you have that nice element, then it just kind of chops and jumps up and it transfers to kind of these bays of roll form steel canopies. So I think we'd like to see a literal continuation of the brick piers and everything. Same height, right at the window head, why introduce another datum, right? But yeah, I think we should probably look at the back of house area. Could you go to the plan?
Do I have?
Could you go to the
Oh,
building
sorry.
plan? Cause I need to refresh my memory on what was and what is.
I think I'm
Maybe
on the
Jeff
wrong
will work
direction
better.
there, sorry. The floor plan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That is that different?
Not substantially. Yeah, I think the desire to extend that porch was the dining rooms on the top left, so if I'm parked over here, how do I get there? In inclement weather when I want a hamburger.
Mhm.
Or a biscuit.
Right through.
Yes, I think drive through.
Some old fashioned.
I don't know anymore.
Just stretch your legs. But, and to your point, a lot of the service areas on the far right. And I like the louver screen wall. I do think it needs to maybe turn the corner here.
That's what it was.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
because that could quickly become a place you don't want to see.
But hold on, we
Just
what was the comments last time? It needed to be more invisible, right?
need- I think the idea was need to embrace that it's gonna be back to house and to make it to screen it, right? So
But they've reduced the amount of screening.
it looks like it's more transparent
Yeah.
now, yeah. So, ideally, maybe it's landscape.
It is, which they have added landscape. Can we actually have a look at the landscape plan? I know it's kind of small with a visual site, but can we zoom in on?
It's not, there's
It's
not,
not very
it's not
substantial.
landscape either. Would it help to have some visual buffering right there? Maybe
Well, then you're forcing people to walk through that back of it.
That's not much room.
thing and screen the whole thing. Are people walking from here to there? I think no, I think most people are walking from here to there.
Yeah, because there's no parking down there.
I would.
What about the
screen
delivery truck? He's
delivery-
going back of
deliveries-
house anyway.
Deliveries go there, right?
Well, again, we don't have to design it, but I think it'd be beneficial to see some concerted effort to make that back of housey, right?
Well, it conflicts right now. It says on civil, it says proposed 5 foot tall brick screen wall, and in architectural, it shows some losers, so there is some inconsistency. And I think we would rather it be more opaque.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe even screen with landscape.
Yeah, those would be my only two things about the building. All canopies the same height, same language, and make the back of house more back of house. Yeah, because right now it's like a second sidewalk away to get to it.
All right, the loading area. I mean, still, I think we said this before, I've never seen a fast food restaurant that had a dedicated truck loading area before. But to me, just like intuitively, I mean, if we're gonna do stamped concrete, intuitively, I think of, you know, if you have more precious materials where people are. And this is opposite. It's like if you're gonna do stamped concrete anywhere, do it in the outdoor dining area. And I don't like stamped concrete. I like kind of truth in materials and be what you're gonna be. Don't fake it. But to put the most precious material in the least valuable place on the site makes no sense to me. It's counterintuitive.
We're just trying to distinguish it at that.
Yeah, but to make it special.
Special for a truck.
Yeah. I would rather see it as something pervious, a grass pave or something like that, instead of just more paving. So I would still like that to be. I don't even want to say study. Find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, I do appreciate that they've studied it, and reduced it, but yet it's still a lot of impervious surface right there at the front.
Mostly empty and people are gonna be looking at it while they're sitting in the drive-through.
Right.
The parking lot's also really big though too, and they're gonna be looking at that, and that's a lot of. But I think we're getting hung up on the truck loading because we're not used to seeing it in a restaurant.
Yeah. They do have a lot of parking.
They do.
They have a lot of parking.
You talked about that. I know we had talked about reduction, but
Like old fashioned.
no, I did wonder if I should dress up a little bit then. Maybe accessible spots or something.
I don't mind the truck bay necessarily. What really rubs me, it gives me friction is it just seems so haphazard right there. It's like no design. It's just like, oh, we need a truck place. Oh, we need a driveway place. There's no.
I'm really wondering how a truck's gonna get in and out of it.
There's an auto turn exhibit. It looks like they head in and back out. Does seem a little awkward.
And deliveries are probably more early.
Which is the auto turn.
The last DRB,
Oh,
Okay.
but it does head up, back in, and back out.
Well, I have, they just started their TRC process. I have a hard time saying, like, as a board saying, we've never seen a loading thing in a fast food. You can't do that. I wouldn't feel comfortable making that, and
No, let that be TRC's call.
right, even the location for that matter. But I would encourage a material that whether it's for the
Pervious.
whether it's pervious for the loading or like it was said, make that the concrete and everything else something special.
So create a hierarchy of paving types.
can I pull it in right here? Can you just extend this apron and pull it in right there? Pull off right there?
The second idea better.
Yeah. Make what's there more intentional.
Yeah, just widen it a little bit,
Widen it, special papers, mark it
like a bus pull off.
like a bus pull off. Yes.
Do you wanna? Do that?
Wait.
To
Wait,
study.
I'm asking, yeah, just to study, but you're saying to make it.
Well, one option
Next-
was
next
to
to
like, widen that and
Yeah.
put it right there, right by it, with all the shrubs, shrubberies. And then the other idea is to put it right there, just expand that lane, so there's parking spot along bus, what we call
So then they're not having to back out or anything.
it. Yeah.
So they just have a further walk.
Right here, boom.
See you later. Does feel more natural.
But
But
then-
in an effort to not be too heavy-handed, he did confirm that it's not impossible. Because he specifically asked about that location, right? So we could
That's our preference.
include a request to study that in that location specifically. Yeah, or other alternate locations with that priority on that one.
That's a good.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
The motion is.
I think that's are we at preliminary? Would that be a preliminary approval
Yeah, we're at preliminary.
with the condition with staff comments? And a couple conditions. One is the closing off of the service area, making it more opaque and landscaping it. Number two is to extend the existing porch as proposed all the way down to the corner, eastern corner of the building, page east.
I'm not sure it's a preliminary approval then.
You could make.
Condition.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say we
Good.
could do final
Mm-hmm.
back to us.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Preliminary approval, final back to the board.
Mhm.
Okay, it's a good motion. Preliminary approval, final board. With the following conditions, staff comments, and then we talked about the service area and we talked about the extending the porch, and then third would be to place the truck service along parallel the south entry drive.
Would it just be to restudy the, or we particularly want to come up with?
I think we're going to tell them when to place it.
Yeah,
Restudy location and
I like
materiality.
I like-
That's the
I don't
intended.
I don't think,
You don't like it? You don't have to second it.
You don't like what?
I think it should be study alternate locations for the truck loading with a board preference for describe that location. But I'm not, I don't have the, but that's not just an architectural design, but that has serious civil engineering
Yeah.
implications, and I don't feel comfortable with making that call.
Being that prescriptive.
I
But-
don't feel comfortable being that prescriptive. That's why I said, just say them to just restudy.
Good job. Sorry.
Well, I think that's a restudy.
Yeah.
I think
Restudy location with a
Yeah.
board preference for there.
And materiality.
immaterial.
With the preferred location being parallel to the drive, south drive. Okay. David, did you get that? Bill?
You got it?
you're supposed to.
I'm scribbling, but I kind of lost it.
So,
I don't.
study the location and the materiality of the service drive,
Location.
The loading.
loading area. With the preferred location being on the parallel to the south drive. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Good. Got that? Or this, staff
You
comment
wanna repeat it? Bill, or if,
still. You know,
oh,
I don't think I got it all.
there were three.
So
Yeah.
preliminary approval with final review by DRB. Staff comments
Mhm.
And also study the location and materiality of the service drive with preferred location parallel to the south drive. Extend the existing
Proposed porch.
porch element. Restudy the service area.
That's
Is
that it?
was it.
Three
Mhm.
things.
Okay.
Seems so simple. Say it reverse.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Yes, I'll vote yes.
Thank you. The last project on the agenda, brand new project.
Yep.
Requesting conceptual approval for a new multifamily community with 7 four-story buildings. Containing 348 units, 33 townhomes, 6 detached garages and a clubhouse. And this shows the location of the project along Grand Oak. Just off of West Ashley Circle. Closer view. Projects they thought to the right. And the applicant can step right up. Let me know when you like to advance the slides. Yeah.
John Winters with Thomas and Hutton.
Are you gonna need more than 10?
No, don't believe so. If you go to the overall site plan. The one with the comparison. It's been a couple of months since we've been back in front of you guys. I think the first time we presented as a courtesy review was back in January. Since then, we've had multiple meetings with DRB staff and also the community. At one of the community meetings, one of the big feedbacks we had was the concern of the main drive coming off of Grand Oaks Boulevard. From that, we've shifted the main entrance drive off of West Ashley Circle, which is kind of reoriented the site. So as you're coming in from the west, you have the clubhouse. Also, we have gotten BZA approval. As part of that was preserving 2 large tree preserve areas in main courtyards. One of the consistent site elements is the townhomes along Grand Oaks Boulevard. We have those pushed up to the road while preserving a 25-foot buffer. As part of BZA, we are going to, as part of our, we will propose a minimum of 15 5-inch live oaks along Grand Oaks Boulevard, along with supplemental understory and evergreen shrubs and understory trees. You can go that those are the main moves and changes that we made to the sites this last time before you guys. You can go to the schematic landscape plan.
I'll just get back.
Schematic landscape plan.
We've conceptually studied the grading for the entire site. If you go one more. And one of the requests was going to, show you guys how the amenity area fit within the existing live oaks, existing trees. Here's the concept that we're excited about, that we're going to continue to explore. As you move page left, you'll get into the tree preserve area where it'll be a softer, the pathways will be soft, benches, very, all the landscaping among the existing trees will be very, organic and just very soft with the, I'm using soft a lot, but with all the existing trees, like we're not gonna go in there and blow it up and create these amenity spaces. It's supposed to be very soft, or organic passive space, you know, through these, you know, tree preserve areas. The landscape palette has kind of started to be established, with the concept of mature on the right. And if you go back one page, you can see that we've worked really hard with all the grain trees and really minimizing the impact that we have to them on the site. And that touches on the site. I'll turn it over to the architects to get into the architecture.
Hello, I'm Kelsey Wadoff and I'm here with Klein Design. And I'd like to continue on to the improvements to the site plan. We have really integrated the interior courtyard spaces to serve as parks and improve the user experience of the overall site. And then we have also picked up many comments from the previous meeting earlier this year. And if you wouldn't mind cycling through the floor plans and elevations, please. Specifically for the multifamily buildings, we have added a thick 18-inch face continuously around the perimeter of all multifamily buildings and townhomes. We have improved the color scheme selection to be softer, more neutral blue tones. We have also added brackets along the roof lines. And all of the modern metal canopies entrances have been swapped out for more traditional shed roofs with columns that also match the porches on the corner balconies. Moving forward to the townhomes, we have included similar elements. Right there would be great. You'll notice specifically that on the corner, there's a wraparound porch, which aids in user experience as you enter the site from Grand Oaks Boulevard and engages with the pedestrian scale of the single family and townhomes in the surrounding community. We have also offset the center 2 units 18 inches so that there's more of a distinction in the facade and not everything is in the same plane. And it's more of individual unit feel. And similar to the multifamily buildings, we have simplified the facade in terms of colors and adding the 6-inch siding more seamlessly throughout the entire elevation. We have also removed the dormers from the townhome elevations as recommended. You'll notice that we have also integrated the shed roof and columns here instead of the smaller shed roofs in the previous elevations. And then if you could please cycle through to the renderings. So this is the view from Grand Oaks Boulevard, and you can see that we are maintaining the tree buffer as previously stated. And the townhomes on this, along this frontage create a more inviting user experience for those people driving through along Grand Oaks Boulevard and into this project. That is that corner porch, that wraparound porch that I previously mentioned. And then this is the clubhouse, which we've integrated multi-story porches, integrating that Charleston low country feel and the vegetation that was previously touched on by landscape. And then this is the interior courtyard with that organic feeling pool, integrating those oak trees that were being saved by the BZA. And then is there, okay. Right, and we will now be open for questions. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant?
Got a few. You mentioned there was community engagement. What was the general consensus or feedback?
Sure. So we had a community meeting out at West Ashley Library. A lot of the conversation was situated around the traffic to the site. That was one of the things that, you know, we originally had it planned off of Grand Oaks with that being the primary entrance. With the feedback, we heard that well and said, okay, we need to come in off West Ashley Circle, really make that kind of the main access point that the residents will have. If one day they'll have access to Long Savannah and back, and we have that, you know, design, whatever that opens up. Our feeling is once Long Savannah is there and West Ashley Circle access, that should provide a lot of the traffic. On the feedback for the kind of drive and the views on Grand Oaks was really, this is a neighborhood that is back there. So how do we encourage that and continue to preserve this neighborhood feel? That was the intentionality of putting the townhomes there, really trying to increase some of the landscaping and try to make it feel where it's not interrupted by that. We did discuss some of the height of it as well. We had gotten to a point, I believe, with most people that we spoke with on the setback with townhomes and then the 4-story buildings getting even more interior on the site. Previously, they were coming much closer to Grand Oaks, is really going to help with some of that view corridor. There's really not going to be this, you know, 4-story building that's sticking up, but it will actually be kind of this gradual increase. And then as well, keeping a lot of the grand trees and the grand tree clusters. I think our first presentation, whenever we presented, we had over 70 grand trees to be removed. I believe we ended up, yeah, we ended up with under 20, 19. So we tried to reorient the site, really try to preserve the tree canopy and really try to embrace the site as best we can.
So community was, traffic was probably the biggest one.
By far, yes.
Height
I would say limited.
and trees.
Trees were, how is it going to feel once?
Okay. And then David, can you go to the maybe the site plan again? Yeah, that,
This one.
yeah, this one, or the
Two
new one that,
pages down, I
Yeah.
think. Go to, yeah, that
yeah,
one.
this one.
Yeah.
The cluster to the right, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. The cluster to the right, the tree preserve, the amenities, the pool and all that. It just, the view test looks like there's a whole lot more effort, design effort going into that than the other courtyard created by the 3 buildings. That's not like a separate phase or anything. Is it?
No, and that's, and sorry for the, this not being clear. So that was our schematic landscape plan, and it was limited just to the amenity area of the main amenity. And so that's why there's more detail in that area and not in the other courtyard.
So what's happening in the other courtyard?
It's going to be mostly a tree preserve area, passive space, and then the top left-hand corner, there may be, you know, a small, like outdoor grilling area, but the actual programming in there, we're still kind of working through, but it's going to be passive, soft trails, benches, maybe some hammock.
But TBD.
Right.
It's going to be designed.
Right.
But it will not be built out to the same level
No.
that this one is. So that was the intent from BZA, was how do we preserve those trees and keep this as really a pretty natural area.
Okay, and then we're getting more and more detailed, sorry. In the architecture, the townhomes, I know we had a fairly peculiar first meeting, it wasn't an official review, right? It was
Right. Courtesy.
You'd mentioned that the dormers were eliminated. But I think there were still
Yeah, I
dormers,
still saw them too.
maybe they're just moved. It's not a big deal, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something.
Yeah, I think maybe just in some areas they were moved.
So it's not reflected in this original elevation, but we originally had dormers on the side with the garage. Now they're facing the street
Gotcha.
side, the Grand Oaks
Absolutely.
Boulevard.
That rings a bell, actually. Thank you.
That's it. Any other questions?
That's it from me.
I have one, parking. I know you guys are about 10% over the required parking. Is there a programmatic reason for that? Is it, you know, for your bedroom mix? Client request, or is just that just kind of where parking ended up?
I think at this point, that's kind of where parking ended up at this point in time. What we're seeing now with the multifamily sites is that the 1.5 parking spaces per unit is, we're maxing it out pretty quick. What we're seeing is like that 1.6, 1.6.
Yeah, you're like 1.65.
We're 1.65 is kind of what the market demand.
Yeah, I was actually looking, it was like you could eliminate like this entire row and that bit right there and still meet your parking requirements.
Correct, and I'll just say this, I actually we've got a project that's coming forward, the BZA SV, where we're requesting a variance to get more parking, just because we're maxed out. And it's a similar site, so what we're trying to do is meet the market.
Are these rentals?
Yeah.
We're maxed out, huh?
Well, a similar project, yes.
Stephanie.
Pretty much answered. It's based on comments we received.
I don't have any
Yeah.
questions. Anyone from the public to speak on this? You come up to the podium, identify yourself, and just remember that your comments are limited to site and architectural design.
My name is Kathy Yeager and I live off of Grand Oaks on Route Drive. And what I'm seeing here, so you're gonna cut down all the big trees, and when you're going down Grand Oaks, you're gonna see these townhouses.
They're gonna keep as much of the buffer as possible.
Well, that doesn't look, the buffer is all those trees and everything. But that's gonna be up close to that sidewalk that we all walk down to go to Harris. So you're gonna build it.
What's the required buffer there?
There's not a required buffer. We're providing a 25 optional buffer to match the adjacent side of the tree.
How much?
It's a 25.
Optional.
Optional.
And how far does that go down? Because the landing is a subdivision. I don't know how much. The landing would be down this way about here.
Maybe you want to go to the civil site plan.
So-
You may can see sorry.
I mean, the site plan that you see is the extent of this project. So, thank you. Any other public comment?
I got some. Hello, my name is Daniel with your Sundays. I lived in West Ashland since I was 6 years old. And if we can go to the they might be the one right after this. Yes, one, yeah. So my biggest concern is go back one. So we got the landing right here, right? And in the previous design, this road right here connected into the development. And on this new alternative design, it does not connect. So I'm very confused on if this development is going to connect to this future roadway right here, or is it just going to end?
And no connections presently, correct?
Yeah, there's no connection on the current site plan.
Right, all right.
That's just a parking lot. That's not a roadway.
I know, but can we go back this way? In this one, it connects to this road. It doesn't do it in this one, so I'm just confused on why they got rid of that connection, because through the cities of Charleston's connected road initiatives, I feel like this is kind of counterintuitive to that. And also on the townhomes, can we go to the view of the townhomes from the side?
The rendering?
Yeah. Go back one. Yeah. So if the road is right here, and these are, I'm assuming front doors to the homes, why is the sidewalk not like, why is there no extension of the sidewalk to the sidewalk that's existing already on Grand Oaks Road? Grand Oaks Boulevard? Because since this is very close walking distance to Harris Teeter, why are we not having the front door access connect to the actual sidewalk on the road?
So first of all, public comment is not for a dialogue, questions and answers going back and forth, but I am gonna allow the applicant to respond to
Yeah.
that.
I appreciate you bringing up this thing. Regarding that, if you look on the site plan, you know, I mean,
Let's go to the site. plan.
there is a meandering granite fines path that's gonna go along the front so that, I mean,
Where is that on here?
well, it's a soft dash line through here.
Right.
So, I mean, to help visually articulate that those are like the fronts of the homes, not the backs of the homes. So, and then regards to
So
the,
there will be two layers of sidewalk. There will be the main sidewalk following Grand Oaks, and then the second one for the homes, right?
yes, I mean, it's gonna be a soft meandering path that, is not gonna be like a hard
Well,
concrete.
I'm not sure why it's not connecting to the actual sidewalk itself.
There
right?
might be some areas where we bump out, but I mean, you don't wanna have, you know, 20 bump outs going directly from the townhomes to the
But we can have
sidewalk.
at least.
Okay, I'm gonna rein this in. The public comment is not, it's not a Q&A between the applicant
What is
and the public. It's a time for you to provide comments.
Yes.
So, thank you
To the board for.
Yeah.
Inform their judgment.
to the
All right,
board.
I just want to make sure my points are just,
We heard.
connected, just making more connectivity, especially with the road.
Well, and then with the timing on the reason that we weren't connected to the road at this time is because we don't know when that road will ever get built. And we were trying to.
The road right
Okay,
here.
let's, I'm gonna rein everybody in right now.
Yes, so
Your public comments are to be directed to the board. The applicant is not to respond unless I ask you to respond.
Okay.
So, thank you.
May I make a comment, please?
You may.
My name is Liz Munn. I live, my address is 3631 Morse Avenue. I'm part of Charleston County Tree Preservation Alliance, and we have followed this development along. You guys did we really appreciate less tree death. That is very awesome. What we are here to ask for is if you would consider some of the mitigated trees look like they're going in great places, but some of their landscape choices, if they could perhaps go again with live oaks or bald cypress versus some of the other choices they have, it would preserve the way the lot looks now and just the history of the area and the canopy of the West Ashley area. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like well, let's do your,
Well, do you have public?
I think that was it on public comment,
I
right?
mean, the ones that got submitted.
Oh,
Is there any?
so a lot of the public comments that were submitted had to do with building height and land use and things like that. There were quite a few from the tree organization that you're a member of. And that dealt with mostly planting specific native and non-native species. And we will take that into consideration.
And a lot of traffic.
Yeah, a lot of traffic, things that we don't have purview over.
And flooding.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
No staff comments, some staff observations. There have been some improvements to the project since the board first saw this project in January of 26 for a courtesy review. One improvement is the building placement that allows for a lot more green space. We like the added entry off West Ashley Circle and the arrival view of the attractive clubhouse. It's unfortunate that this view also includes a view of the mail kiosk and the parking for it, squeezed into the space between the clubhouse and the apartment building. And that's referring to this rendering. We were just thinking this was not the best location for the mail kiosk. And the pedestrian circulation has improved with some good tree save areas. The large parking areas still exist, but they have broken up some of the long stretches of the parking and added central planting strips, which is a big improvement. The townhouse layout is essentially the same as what we saw before, but the architecture has been improved. There is still a question about the fencing of these units of the Grand Oaks facing side. Continuous fence versus the mechanical units only. But I think I did see that they are only doing the mechanical units. Staff comment number 1, staff recommends relocation of the mail kiosk building more site central and out of the view of the entry arrival. We feel this space would be greatly improved. We feel this would greatly improve the entry experience if this were instead green space and a view of the apartment building behind. Staff comment number 2 regarding the entry arrival experience off Grand Oaks, we feel this could be improved. Study the arrival experience. The staff recommends a roundabout with a specimen tree in the middle. End of the townhouse facing the entry drive needs to be enhanced, perhaps a balcony or additional windows. Staff comment number 3, based on some of the board comments at the courtesy review, staff agrees that the overall massing is still too great and agrees that some areas of the apartment buildings could possibly step down to 3 stories. Our recommendation would be to focus this around the 2 entries. Perhaps the east ends of buildings 7 and 1 drop down to 3 stories so that the clubhouse is framed. And I'm talking about, in this view, the 2 ends of the apartment buildings to the right and left of the clubhouse. And if you just took off the 2 end units, that would only be eliminating 4 units. So that the end of the building drop down. Staff comment number 4, staff recommends improving the pedestrian circulation even more by adding a soft path around both detention ponds, hugging the edge between the ponds and the wetlands, and crossing the entry drive in front of the clubhouse. Staff comment number 5, staff recommends adding to the pond planting edges with native plants, shrubs, wildflowers, and seed mixes. Staff comment number 6, staff recommends a 6-foot height opaque fence along the west property line located closer to the parking with most of the plantings on the street side of the fence, the future street. Number 7, staff recommends a brick base on all the buildings. Number 8, study the apartment buildings that have the board and batten on the top floors. Staff recommends simplifying the materials and making this top floor more of the same horizontal siding, but perhaps a light blue or light gray to distinguish them. Number 9, staff recommends not using board and batten on the entire 2-story ends of the townhomes. This can be seen on sheets C60. If board and batten is used on the townhome ends in the unit, staff feels it should only be used in the gables as shown on sheet SD54. And avoid vertical board and batten on the apartment. Number 10, staff recommends not having the continuous fence along Grand Oaks, which I think is what they're doing anyway. Number 11, Eric Schultz mentioned the tree save area in the northwest corner of the site. That was agreed on, and he's not seeing that in current plans, so we just asked that to be confirmed. The applicants are over the number, this is number 12. The applicants are over the number of zoning required parking spots. We have to, study the removal of any parking spaces that would open up any more green space. If keeping these number of parking spots, DRB requires some of your paved areas to be pervious. But we do recommend a deferral with a restudy based on staff comments.
Does the applicant have a response to the comments?
One of them at there's no fence proposed along Grand Oaks Boulevard. That was previously discussed.
Yeah, I commented on that, I realized that was no longer the case. I was talking about the last comment you mean was a fence on the west property line along where the new street is.
Future streets.
Anything else? All right, then, for discussion.
Well. I'm a little confused, maybe you should have asked this question, but I think as the public comments kind of went on down their pathway, I'm very confused as to what should be presented along Grand Oaks, number one. So if we go to that perspective, it looks very transparent right now, and I'm a little. I don't see the buffer that's on the others. I mean, I see trees, I see that, but it is the idea that we see the backs of the buildings. I mean, they really are the backs of the buildings.
They really are the backs of the buildings.
Yeah, so you're gonna see people's lawn furniture and whatever, which is fine, but it be more visually buffered, yeah. And I think the answer is yes. I'm a little confused as what's been conveyed versus what I think I heard. And I think what makes most sense is that it's visually buffered along Grand Oaks so that it matches the other side. There's sidewalk on Grand Oaks, and then the soft pathway that's behind the buffer makes some sense for meandering through the buffer one the other.
Is there something that shows that side of the townhomes without all the plants?
Yeah, the rendering that's a little more close up on the corner.
The one view on the corner, yeah. I also think that like these are gonna be the more visible units, I think, right? And they also are the one that's most easily to scale and proportion. And so your precedent images show these beautiful buildings, 2-story porches and blah, blah. This is your opportunity to utilize those in a way that's effective, and I just don't see it. I don't see the precedent images and the way it's presented on these buildings, or maybe even the big buildings. Maybe it'd be helpful to go find some precedent images for a 4-story building that has porches on it, rather than these little 2-story buildings that have porches and are easily to scale and manipulate. Get something of the embrace the scale of these buildings and represent some precedents that show that.
Yeah, I feel like there was actually in the courtesy review, I remember something about us talking about that even though these are kind of technically the back of the townhomes, that they are the front of the project.
Yeah.
And they need to be treated that way.
Done well.
An adjustment has been made, whether it's effective or not, we can discuss that, but you know, do remember that, and they have made an adjustment. I think the big, elephant in the room question is the scale of the 7 buildings. I remember in the courtesy review, that was something we discussed, and it's very difficult for us to say, okay, you guys are allowed to do 7 4-story buildings.
Yeah, 55-foot height limit.
So it would have to be a serious architectural design reason to say, we'd like to see some sacrifice of unit count such that the heights can be brought down and the scale can be reduced. And it does make sense to have 2, 3, and 4-story buildings. But they, part of the presentation was the move to this more, well, moving the big buildings to the interior of the site more so. And I'm wondering if that's effective enough to kind of quell the concerns we had about 4-story buildings in a very 2-story neighborhood, right? Because I think that's a big, because I can see a case for saying we'd like to see some, like Scott said, some reduction of height, some introduction of 3-story masses, which again, I think makes a lot of sense. That has huge site implications. Maybe they keep those units in the buildings, get bigger, and then they leave a little excess park. I don't know. So
that's only in response to the clubhouses next door to it, right? Like if the clubhouse were elsewhere, we wouldn't be requesting the smaller massing.
See that one?
Yeah.
It's only in response to the clubhouse, right? I think they.
Oh, no, it was, yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
specifically just,
Okay.
because it
Okay.
was part of it was the main point of discussion at the courtesy review.
I got you.
It was a recurring theme in the public comments, and I think there's a case for it. I just don't know if it's a solid enough case to say, hey, you're allowed to do this,
Right.
but
Because it would, I mean, they could bring down the height of buildings, but that would mean probably adding another building, and I don't know how that would impact the site. For them, if they're saying, I don't know how they made their numbers, economic numbers work, but if we're looking at it and saying, yeah, we want, in the community is saying we don't want 4-story buildings. The obvious of the owner would be, okay, but can I get another building footprint in there? To make up,
for a wider building.
or a wider building,
Right, keep moving it count.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, might just mean the building gets longer
right.
to make up the units.
Okay, so I think the big question is, do we think as a design review board that 7 4-story buildings on the interior of the lot is problematic enough to request a alternate vision?
I would almost, I mean, one of the things that they have had is the communities. I don't know if they presented it to the community. I would love to know if that's something the community will support. Because what we're hearing is height, and the other stuff that we have no control over. We don't have control really by design.
So I feel like as far as kind of like a height and density issue, because that's really what we're talking about,
Yeah.
is this kind of feeling of
Right.
density.
Mhm.
And I think that the townhomes being along the street do a lot to kind of mitigate that feeling of density. The density is
And
further back in the site. And they are allowed 55 feet by zoning.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's kind of hard to say, no, you can't have it. I think the townhomes do a good job of kind of transitioning that height and density. And I mean, coming in from the east, I mean, you're driving in through those wetlands, you're not gonna see anything from that direction.
From Page East that with the clubhouse as the terminus?
Yeah. And I'm torn on your mail kiosk comment. Being centrally located would be better for the majority, I mean, for the residents. But then also just the fact that you're kind of able to share parking between the clubhouse and the mail kiosk is efficient.
Maybe it becomes more architecturally integrated to the clubhouse.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, is you can do the mailroom as part of a clubhouse.
Right, or a little wing or something, yeah,
Mhm.
architecture. It is kind of somewhat haphazardly placed over there, and we saw a glancing view
Yeah.
of the architecture, but it might be good, just embrace it. Let it be part of it. I do agree, I think there was a question in there, is the 4-story massing?
Yeah.
Concentration.
Yeah, it's a big question.
in
Yeah.
Interior
I-
effective.
My leaning is that, no, it's, I don't know if it's fine, but we don't have a good enough case to ask them to sacrifice their performance like that. But it sounds like you're in agreement.
I think it looks like the site plan has loosened up a lot
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
old plan and new plan.
Yeah.
It definitely has more.
I'd like to
comfort.
see them study their parking needs and see if they can reduce some parking and free up a little bit more, maybe just kind of loosen things up a little bit more. I wouldn't consider 1.65 per unit over parking. Really, depending on the bedroom mix. but they may have some flexibility to reduce a little bit.
I guess my next question, if from a height scale and mass scale, it's, I think there's a lot of logic there. Like we talked about the townhouses being on Grand Oaks, the clubhouse being kind of canted and smaller and special. And then it's peppered with these almost accessory buildings around the perimeter. I think there's a lot that makes sense. And that's the point of the conceptual review is height, scale, and massing. But from an architectural perspective, I would like to see a lot more rigor dedicated to the
architectural direction.
Yeah.
So defer based on that.
Oh no, that's not.
Okay.
No, I think staff really touched on a lot of potential solutions, articulating the base, a stronger datum at the base rather than kind of having the blue go up and down. Not prescribing that, but something to study. I think there is a general elevation of the architectural motifs and language that are being used that could happen. And I mean elevation as in heightening, not drawing convention. The townhouses, same thing. This by kind of their placement in the site plan is entirely different than the bulk of the project. It really becomes not the public face, but it really becomes important. And like Jeff was saying, because it's such a small, malleable and established building type, there's so much you could do there to make them really, really special. It does seem a bit of a lost opportunity to just defer to kind of a conventional plan and fiber cement siding package. So in kind of my meandering set of comments for architectural direction on all 7 of the buildings, I'd suggest particular focus on the townhomes.
In all instances, kind of similar to the staff comments, there are some portions of the buildings that are going to be heightened emphasis, right? More exposed, therefore there needs to be greater architectural detailing to it, like this corner townhouse right here by Grand Oaks Boulevard entry. These corner LMR side elements that are going to be more visible. I think there needs to be a lot more attention given to those as you circumnavigate the site. Those elevations are going to become more important
for sure.
And those
Similar to what's happening with the clubhouse, they've already
articulated.
It's different.
Put a view that shows the townhomes at kind of that end.
Yeah. So that particular corner element really needs to have 2 fronts, right? If it's gonna remain this exposed. Now, if we're gonna do buffering and all that stuff, then that comment goes away. But I think just given its proximity to that entry, at least one side's gonna be very exposed. And it needs to look like the front, right? Some of those cool precedent images that you guys generated.
The only other thing I need to touch on was the clubhouse building. I think there's a lot of nice stuff going on there, but I just don't understand the complexity of the roof right now. It seems unnecessarily complex. I think it's a handsome building, especially this facade, based on its order and simplicity, and I would really let that proliferate through every view of the building, including the roof plan.
Agree how the roof has like 3 or 4 different slopes on it with the dormer. Like it can be, I mean, it's the precedents are so simply masked, right? This building ought to be just as well executed. Great. Like the weird, yeah, it's got a very shallow good roof on the back. dormer seems kind of a little big for what it is.
So back up to the townhouse really fast. This is a question for the architects on the townhouses. Would y'all rather see the different units in the townhouse articulated differently? Or would you rather that read as a building?
That's tricky, the former. But because this is a shaft wall, it's not a parapet wall townhouse, it can just look like kind of a single building. But yeah, the preference would be to stagger them each unit and give each unit kind of a single
identity.
Then a little bit.
But there's
Well, not to the point where you have colonial and craftsman and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Georgian.
but they're mirroring it, I think, which there's a real serious economic benefit to that. But yeah, ideally.
I'd also be curious, and I'm sure the variety was here, but what a 4-unit building looks like versus a 7-unit building, right? Townhouse, they're gonna be.
On the site plan, yeah, they have. Like 7,
Oh, breaking it up?
yeah, breaking it up more.
Well, no, I think, it might be in the drawings, maybe it is. I think what I'm trying to say is knowing that there's gonna be 1, 2, 3, if not 4 different building types for the townhouse buildings. And I think I see 1 or 2 varieties in the package. Like it might be interesting to see that as a streetscape, right? Those 7 elements. So you can see one next to the other. And understand that variety. I think they're in here. I think the different types are in here. I think so. And I lean towards the other way. I'd say it's nice to have the variety, but it is one big building and you're really not pulling any, but it's one building. It should be embrace that one massing.
It's not really.
And if I was to live there, I would like to have.
Personality difference.
Yeah, I mean, I know you can do things to it, but I think it just gets a little bit not less.
But either way, I think,
Okay.
I don't think we need to concentrate on specific
Yeah.
motifs at this stage, but I think the elevation of the design and the materials and the articulation of this front backyard, which is, we don't mean to downplay how tricky that is. So it's a circumstance we've reviewed a number of times before, where the back of the townhouse is public facing. It's tricky. But I think that would be the main feedback at this stage, right? It's kind of a general architectural elevation of things, material included, and then a real focus on what exactly these backyards are.
And they're only doing what, a 25 foot setback?
Buffer. yeah,
Buffer?
Landscape
I mean,
buffer.
yeah, sorry, buffer.
Yeah.
I'd also be curious to know where the units are gonna go.
I don't know the depth of the backyard.
This porch, I thought they said they were gonna have.
Yeah, I don't know that.
So the 25 foot buffer in the back, we're talking about that. Do you know the depth of the backyard? I mean, it's only like a 30-foot depth from the public right of way. So when you get 25 feet, they only have to look like a 5-foot backyard.
No, they don't have a lot of backyard.
I was just an example. I don't know what the depth
It's not,
do we have.
it's not a lot.
So if they're doing a 25-foot buffer,
Well, that's the 25 feet. I think it's a bit.
yeah, go up to that.
They're showing that soft pathway in
Right.
that 8 feet or so between the
From
buffer
that,
and the building.
it was like only 8 feet
Ish,
ish. So yeah, it's not
not a backyard.
a backyard. It's my point.
It's a stu-
Yeah. So we're talking about spending a lot of time, but they're not gonna have, based on what they're showing. Not gonna really have a backyard.
But that's an optional buffer.
Yeah.
They can,
Yeah.
they can articulate it all they want.
Right, it's optional, yeah, so.
I think that's another question. Should it? Should
Be
it
a
be?
backyard?
Should it be, well, no, should it be a visual buffer?
Right.
Should it be a densely planted buffer? From an overall design perspective, or that streetscape? Along Grand Oaks? I think the answer is yes.
I think if I put there, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the alternative, like fences?
Well, it's optional until someone says it's not optional.
I see. Yeah.
It's not optional.
Okay, I know we're meandering a little bit, but can we quickly run through the staff comments?
Yes.
So we know what to conclude and a motion? Yes, sir. Okay. Mail kiosk building. More site central and out of the view of the entry or arrival. I am inclined to say that is in the architect site design people's decision. That's where they, I don't think it's necessarily detrimental, but that's my gut.
I think it detracts from the clubhouse as it's currently
Okay, so keep that one in there.
represented.
I would,
Yeah.
But I would also be okay with them incorporating it into the clubhouse or something instead of relocating it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a restudy.
Let's kind of amend that. Entry arrival experience off Grand Oaks. We feel this entry could be improved. Study the arrival experience. Staff recommend roundabout. Discuss entry in the middle. End of the townhouse facing the entry drive needs to be enhanced. I am inclined to strike that one because we're gonna, as a board, we're gonna ask for restudy of the architectural direction of the townhouses. And that is from what I understand, that is a very secondary entrance. I'm unsure if that needs to be punctuated with a roundabout. Again, that's pretty prescriptive. Thoughts?
I'm fine with that.
It-
You're talking about up and strike, just
I'm
that.
not
portion.
saying it can't be improved,
Mhm.
or it shouldn't be improved, but being that prescriptive with it.
Yeah.
How about we just truncate it and say enhance entry off Grand Oaks?
Yeah.
So, the first sentence kind of says that, you could cross off everything else off.
Oh, yeah.
Number two.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Building massing. Can you go to the clubhouse view again, David?
Help to see these in context with one another other than a rendering. Flat plane 3D elevation. Way they're presented in the drawing package, they're different scales, so you can really put next to the other in your mind very easily.
Of course, there was a lot bigger.
Yeah, this is
And it's 4,
two to four. Yeah. Like landscaping has a lot to do with that.
I would probably strike that one.
Which are you at?
Number three.
3.
Mm. I think we I think they should at least give it a try. Let me come back and say this. Or, you know, or preference.
Could we say something about study transition of massing? That being prescriptive?
I'm just unsure if that's the critical moment.
Yeah.
Between the clubhouse and.
It's not uncommon to have a development like this where the clubhouse is 1 or 2 stories and there's 4-story buildings next to it. I think one of the things that's a little bit of a challenge here is just the proximity of the clubhouse to the buildings.
Yeah, in site plan, it looks a lot closer than it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very close.
So yes, I would probably start number 3. Number 4. Improving pedestrian circulation even more by adding soft path around both detention ponds, hugging the edge between ponds, wetlands crossing the entry drive in front of the clubhouse. So landscape.
No, I have no problem with that.
Adding the pond planting edges with native bugs, shrubs, and wildflower seeds.
I'm good with that.
6-foot high opaque fence along the west property line located closer to the parking with most of the plantings on the street side of the fence. So the boundary between the landing, is that what we're looking at?
It's the.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about future fence, so we, where the future street is,
Yeah.
a fence all along this property line.
Why would you want a fence there? Just to separate from the road?
Yeah, I mean, we usually require screening when parking's right up against a street.
It's pretty close. It's less than 20 feet. It's probably more like.
Makes me wish there's some townhomes there.
Yeah, for some townhomes.
So, question, wouldn't TRC, if that street were there, wouldn't TRC require a 5-foot buffer along the edge of that parking?
That I'm not sure, but this fence that I'm recommending now was after a discussion with Eric Schultz. So he didn't say anything about the required buffer. Now, he was also recommending all those straight pulling parking spots along the entire west. You know, if we were talking about having them reduce the number of parking spots, he's saying, why can't all those be parallel to strengthen that buffer? That was
All the parking spaces along the west side.
the entire west side.
You wouldn't have as many parking spaces.
Yeah,
Well,
you
that's
know,
what I'm
like
saying.
have
Can
it
we
maybe-
get them to reduce the number of parking spaces? And that's one place they could do it, to strengthen that buffer. But that didn't make sense.
I'd rather see them do that than build a fence.
It's a big ask. Not to take that many spots out.
For 9 feet.
Yeah. Give you additional 9 feet of buffer.
Over
No, it's not huge, you know.
over a night, what if they do?
Yeah.
Fence? Let's leave that one in there.
So you're leaving that one in and taking it out.
I'm leaving it in, and maybe I'll just add nice opaque fence. I don't think
Nice in front of.
parallel park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staff recommends a brick base in all buildings. I think we can cross that because board will request material. Have some material rethink. And if a brick base is a good thing to study, but again, I think too prescriptive. Study the apartment buildings that have board and batten on the top floor. So same thing. I think we can strike that. Also restudy. Same with number 9.
And number 10, we strike because they're not doing it.
Yeah.
They don't have the continuous fence now.
But we still need to see what the AC going on with the ACs. Okay, Eric Schultz mentioned the tree save area in the northwest corner of the site that was agreed on, that he is not seeing in the current plans, please confirm.
He was talking about, do you know anything about this?
Yeah, so there,
In this area? Just where it was?
it was, no, it was on the,
Right here.
or on our side, so we have where that first garage is at the top up corner. It was rotated into those parking spaces on the south of your cursor. Yeah, so it was located there and we were taking out, there were some protected trees along that backside. So what we ended up doing was moving the garage unit and we actually reduced those parking spaces to be compact spaces to save. Right. So the cluster of trees here. To save those cluster of trees there that we were taking out. So with that garage unit actually extended back to the 15-foot buffer line. We switched that to just regular parking.
So let's play with this, show them.
It does, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So strike it.
Yeah, you can strike that.
All right, study the amount of parking. I think we leave that one.
We leave that one. So we kept 1, 4, 5, 6, and 12.
With number two.
Number
strike.
2, we're saying enhance entry off of Grand Oaks. And for number 1, we're just saying restudy location of the mail kiosk building.
Two. You can just. First.
Someone want to make a motion?
If I make a motion, can I just say staff comments as noted, and then you can repeat it in your.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for conceptual approval. The staff comments as discussed, repeated, and board comments for a restudy of architectural expression throughout. With an emphasis on elevating the material palette, with a special focus on the townhomes. So that's approval. Conceptual approval.
That sounds like
Sounds
you're
like-
asking them not to redo all the architecture, but give an approval.
Height, scale, and mass, I think.
Or scale, mass, general architectural direction.
And I think I'm not making a stylistic objection or architectural objection. They're broken down masses and all that. It is more of a material comment more than anything. But it sounds like this motion is. That's it. That's my motion.
All right, so the motion is for conceptual approval with staff comment number 1 amended to staff recommends restudy of the location of the mail kiosk building. And number 2, regarding the entry arrival experience off of Grand Oaks, we feel this could be improved. Study the arrival experience. Staff comment number 4. Staff recommends improving the pedestrian circulation even more by adding a soft path around both detention ponds, hugging the edge between the ponds and wetlands, crossing the entry drive in front of the clubhouse.
You don't need to read all.
Okay. Staff comment number 5, staff comment number 6, and staff comment number 12. And study architectural expression, specifically elevating material palette and study of the townhomes.
And special focus on.
Special focus on the townhomes. There's a second.
Not gonna come.
Okay, we don't have a second. Would,
You the chair could second it.
That's right.
If you want.
all right, I'll second it. Um,
Well, now you just put us in a tricky situation.
Yeah, now you have to call for the vote.
No majority, it doesn't pass.
You're right.
yeah,
Think of it.
Call for the vote, it may change.
Stephanie?
No,
No.
Yep,
No,
motion fails.
okay, motion fails.
I'd like to make a motion, exact words, deferral.
Okay,
I second.
okay, we have a motion for deferral
Same words and I second.
and a second.
No.
I'll vote in favor. All right, so, motion is, so been deferred. Thank you. Thank you. Last thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
Make so moved, motion for approval of minutes.
I second.
Stephanie? All right, I'll vote in favor. And meeting's adjourned.